Come take a drink.
Come take a drink. Come take a drink from a cultural libation. I'm pouring love like art and positive sensation. Change the channel to a higher vibration, including all races, no discrimination. Old and new, make clear in all situations. We're together, leaving behind no generation. Lighting the way for each other, looking out, protecting sisters and brothers. Drink no more from the well of human degradation. Drink no more of the media, propaganda and fluctuation. Come take a drink of a cultural libation. Come take a drink of a cultural libation. Drink the joy, drink the peace, drink the love. Come take a drink of cultural libations. Drink the joy, drink the peace, drink the love. Come take a drink of cultural libations.
When I think of home, I think of a place where there is love overflowing. I wish I was home. I wish I was back there with the things I've been knowing. Ooh, wind that makes the tall grass bend into leaning. Suddenly the raindrops that fall have a meaning, sprinkling the scene, makes it all so clean. Suddenly my world's gone and lost its face, but I still know where I'm going. I have spun around in space, but yet I've watched it growing. Oh, if you're listening, God, please don't make it hard for me to believe the things that we see. Tell me, should I run away or should I try and stay? Or would it be better just to let things be? Living here in my brand new world is like a fantasy, but it taught me to love, so it's real to me, and I've learned that we must look inside our hearts to find a world full of love, like yours, like mine, like home.
Wow. Welcome to Love, Light, and Positivity. We wanted to kick off our final show with a big bang, and we want to thank Lucretia Walker. She's a member at our church. She sings in the church choir, and I really love that song, Home, because what we have to do as human beings is come home to our authentic selves. We have to come home and be in a place inside of ourselves where we are comfortable with ourselves and we love from that space. To love from that space of authenticity, to love ourselves, to accept ourselves, we have come home. And when we come home to that, sometimes it's a little difficult to do. But over the past few weeks, we've explored tools, we've explored many ways, we've given you tools, and many things that you could practice there in your home to make sure that you come home to yourself, you come home to your beautiful essence that you truly, truly are. So we want to thank you for joining us for these past 5 weeks. However, it's not quite over yet. So with that song being sung, one of the things that I've learned last year I went to a conference last year, and it was here at the Richmond Marriott, and there was a woman there. There was a whole panel of women there, and there was this one woman of all the people on the panel. Not that all the rest of them weren't good, but she held me in the palm of her hand. I was just that, involved in what she was saying. Every word that came out of her mouth resonated inside of me because it was all true. And as a person who likes to listen to different people and hear them talk, I'm always open to that. So my first guest, was supposed to be on another show, but she's here at the right time now. We've had some family changes going on, and she still consented to be here today. And I want you to welcome to our show Rita Ricks. I'm so happy to have you, Rita.
It is my pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
Yes, I was just so impressed in a positive way. You are a spiritual person.
I am.
You are a motivator. You are inspirational, and you also help people change their lives and to just be where they are, but also discover, like I was talking
right.
about, coming home to who they really are.
That's right.
So how long have you been doing this?
It's amazing when I think about it, because I actually began this led part of my career as a life coach.
Okay.
And I wasn't feeling it. I was calling myself a life coach. I was studying life coach,
Okay.
but I wasn't feeling it. I ended up over at Richmond Hill, and I spent 2 years over there in their RUA, the School of Spiritual Direction.
Yes.
And that's where I connected with my spirit. They required in those 2 years that we spend 6 times for 24 hours in silence. So 6 24 hours in silence.
Yes.
And that's where I connected with God. That's where I got into alignment. That's where I surrendered. And that's where I realized I am not a life coach. I'm a spiritual coach.
Yes.
Because it's like you say, we have to come home.
Home to ourselves.
Yes.
Yes, and I like when I was looking, I'm researching and looking at things about you, and you owned a business.
I do. This is my second. Yes.
And you
yes.
have a boutique.
I did.
Yeah.
This would be my third then.
Yeah. And when
I'm what they call a serial entrepreneur.
Yeah. But that's good. But when I think about and when I look at your life, and I see that you've had many lives in this one human experience.
Yes.
And I think that a lot of people don't realize that at any juncture in your life,
Right.
you can change the direction of your
It's
life.
because we have so many gifts.
Yes.
So if we stay in the same place doing the same thing, we're not going to use all the gifts that God has given us. And so to have the freedom to be able to follow His
Yes.
direction is what I love.
Well, one of the things too I know, and I heard you, one of the questions that I was thinking about, you found your soul's purpose.
Yes.
And you went
Absolutely.
within and found your soul's purpose. How
Absolutely.
can people out there that are watching, what ways can people find their soul? How can they find their soul's purpose? If they could hire somebody like you to help them.
Of course, absolutely. You can be a coach, but you first must be truly authentic with yourself in asking God what He wants you to do, what He wants you to do in your life.
Yes.
And so we have a lot of people who say, but I pray to God. And what I say is, but you're not listening to God.
And that's where the
That's
silence-
the difference. That's where the silence comes in. That's where the silence comes in, because there's so much noise.
Yes.
And if I can, and this is what I tell every one of my clients, journal.
Yes.
My journaling is done every morning. It is my God, dear God letter. Every morning, dear God. And I say, good morning, Father God, Holy Spirit, Lord Jesus, this is the day that you have made, and I will rejoice in it. That's at the beginning of my journal.
Yes.
And then I just start to talk about my day. I'm not talking so much about yesterday. I can't talk about tomorrow. I talk about, what do you want me to do in today? Who do I want to ask you to
How
bless
can you be of
today?
service today?
Exactly.
Service today.
Exactly.
Yes.
Who do you want me to talk to?
Yes.
Who do you want me to
Yes.
listen to? What do you want me to say?
Yes.
How do you want me to behave
Yes.
today?
Yeah.
Today.
Yeah.
And then I read just a little bit of a motivational piece. I love Dr. Cindy Trim. That's who I'm reading now. Jesus Calling is another one by Sarah Young. Just a little bit of something with scripture. And then after I read, I take that into the silence, because the journal has all of my cares and concerns.
Yes.
And I close that book.
Yes.
That belongs to God now.
Yes.
Because I've given it to Him.
That is so tell me something. I hear you referring to scripture. Do you is there a difference for you between spirituality and religiosity?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, so-
absolutely. So spirit is who I am.
Okay.
I came here as spirit. I tend to believe that religion is more structured. I go with the flow, just
Yes,
like you do.
yeah.
I go with the flow. I listen, I feel, I understand, I connect with my spirit. That's who I am. All of this
Yes.
is going to go away. But my spirit, and you know what? My spirit is ageless.
Yes.
As my body is getting older, as I'm in my third act,
Yes. Your third act.
this is my third act.
Yeah.
My spirit feels younger than ever.
Yes. And that's why I became so, I want to say preoccupied, but just enthralled with the words that you were saying when I was listening to you, and the things that I've been listening to over the YouTube and everything else. Because one of the things that you said was about pretending there's a theater.
Yes.
I like that
Yes.
analogy.
This is the stage. You're on the
Yes.
stage of your life.
Okay.
So you're in this this is your stage. And so you have your front row. And the front row contains all the people who support you, who love you, who nurture you, who
Yes.
encourage you, who only want the best for you. They're in your front row so you can see them at all times. But then you have people in your life that really can't be in that front row. But you need them in your life. So it may be your boss, it may be a coworker, it may be it's probably some family members
Okay.
that are in your life. It may be exes.
Yes.
They're in your life for whatever reason, but they're not in your front row. They're in the balcony.
In the balcony.
And they sit up in the balcony, and you go there when you have to, and then you leave and come back to your stage with
Yes.
your front row. And then there are people that don't need to be in your life. They are toxic.
Yes.
They're in the parking lot,
Oh, yeah, and I love that. 'Cause
outside
Yeah,
of
and
the theater altogether.
I told my daughter this. I said, "You're not gonna believe what I heard when I listened." And I was telling. She said, "Well, Mom," because she could visualize that, and then she could make decisions based.
That's
on,
right.
Based
That's
on
right.
what you said. With
That's
that.
right.
It's
That's right.
very practical.
So even though you feel that you're crazy about this person over here, if they're not giving to you what you need, and you in turn can give back to them. This is symbiotic.
Yes.
The stage in the front row, it's symbiotic because we're giving back and forth. And so I move every day based on, my people in the front row encouraging me. But there are some people who are haters, or there are some people who don't want you to succeed.
Naysayers. Yeah,
They
yeah,
need to
yeah.
be in the parking
Yeah,
lot.
need to be in the parking
You
lot.
cannot afford to have them in your theater.
Yes, I totally get it, because one of the things that I have learned, okay, through this process of having many different roles in life. Now I'm talking about roles that we have, that we are programmed to be women, we are programmed to be wives, we are programmed to be a worker, we are programmed by the
daughters.
you know what I'm saying? Endlessly.
Sisters,
Yes.
caregivers,
Yes, everything.
employees, employers.
Yes, everything. So coming again back to that home state, and I know you've worked with many people.
Absolutely.
And working with them and so how would you start with a person that was interested?
It's interesting because I was talking to a woman yesterday that probably will become a client. And what I find with a lot of women who have they carry that baggage, they wear those hats.
Yes.
They think they're in control. I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to be responsible for all of this. And you're not in control. God is in control. But because they're so busy trying to be in front of and responsible for,
See,
then
that's-
they
yes.
don't hear that God already has got you. He knew where you were going when you were in your mother's womb. How dare you try to do, how dare you even begin to have the audacity to tell him?
Well, you know what I always say to myself a lot of times. Sometimes I have to be reminded that my name is not God,
That's
and I'm
right.
not God.
That's right.
And my 92-year-old father has a lot of difficulties, which I've been working with and trying to assist him as best I can. And just today, I had to use detachment
Yeah.
from him because he has a God the same as
That's
I have
right.
a God.
That's right.
And I had to call him, and I apologize.
Yeah.
Because I was finding myself doing to him what I had accused him of doing to me.
Wow.
Directing his life.
Wow.
Trying to get it. And then it clicked. Emasha, that's what he did to you.
Yeah.
and he's 92.
Yeah.
So
But we also have to do that to with our kids.
Yes.
Because it's their journey.
Yes, their
and
journey.
at some point, we have to allow them to make those mistakes. Number one, God only loaned them to us. They
Yes.
belong to him, just like your dad.
Yes.
He belongs to him.
He belongs to
and
God.
so we have to back off. And as women, we hover.
Yes.
We hover.
Yes.
And so we have to back off. But the only one who has a headache,
It's
It's us.
Yes, it's us.
It's
And I
us.
think that that's wonderful. Now, with everything that's going on now,
Mm-hmm.
and the reason why I wanted to do the show, because I changed the name.
Okay.
Because I feel we have to be the light.
Yeah.
Because, we're the salt of the earth and all the other strip that goes with around that. We have to be, and we can be it in the grocery store.
Right.
We
You're
can
right.
be it everywhere.
You're right. Exactly.
And I know you are a fan of Deepak Chopra's.
Yes, I am.
And I've been doing the 21-day meditation with the recent one that he has. And he says practicing gratitude.
That's right.
So what role does gratitude play in your life?
So let me just tell you real quickly. One of the pieces, and I'm in the process of doing an e-course on this, but I talk about gifts. We all have gifts. And so the G stands for gratitude.
Yeah, I saw that.
Being
Yes.
grateful
Yes.
every day, not saying the same thing over and over and over and over again.
Yes.
There are so many things to be grateful for. Just I can see. I can
Yes.
still drive. The I is about being intentional. We have to be intentional with our
Yes.
lives. It can't just be, I don't know what I'm
Yeah.
going to do today. We have to be intentional.
Yes.
The F is about fearless. We have to take the risks. We have to get out of our comfort zone. We have to step out of the boat and hold on to Jesus, because guess what? After we step out of the boat into the water, he's taking us to the other side.
And we can walk on water, right?
Yes. Yes. And so he's taking us to the other
Yes,
side. And
yes.
so when you say, I don't want to go, it's like you're blocking Jesus from doing what it is he has to do with you. So we must be fearless. And then the T is about today. We have to stay in today.
Today.
Otherwise, we miss. Today is an unrepeatable day. We're not going to get it back. And so we have to stay in today to receive all that God has in store for us just today. It's not over until we go to bed.
It's not
So
over.
when we're complaining and going, I can't believe this didn't happen, we missed. If you're worried about tomorrow, you missed today. If you think about yesterday, you're missing
Yes.
today.
And I even believe that it goes beyond even when I go to bed at night.
Yeah.
Because I know I get answers in my dreams.
Of course.
And I can ask the question
I know.
before I go to bed.
I know. That's good.
Spirit,
That's good.
show me what I need to do.
That's good.
And I put it in my brain. I go to sleep. I may listen to some affirmation or some soothing music at night. I may not get it the first night, but eventually it processes itself in my dreams. And I think that the dreams are a real good tool.
They are. They
if
are.
we're looking,
They are.
looking at what's going on.
And dreams are so much clearer again when we are intentional.
Intentionality.
You know. But the last one, the S under gifts, is about the silence.
Your silence.
If we don't practice silence, if we continue to allow the noise around us, how can we hear what God is telling us?
And
He's talking to us all the time.
Definitely. And we said be in the world but not of the world.
That's right.
Because
That's
I
right.
think that with all the distractions, like I don't look at the news, I don't put that in my mind. And all the other distractions that we have going on, just being a human being, just being around people. You know, it's a lot of times for me, and I only speak from my experience, I work at this. And I know that the people that are watching us, it's when you dedicate yourself, and I know the Spirit has my back.
Yes.
I'm not
Absolutely.
walking out here alone. Right?
Absolutely.
And I say that the words of my mouth and the meditation
Of
of
my
heart be acceptable.
That's
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
That's
so
right.
with that,
And so we have choices, and that's what I want everybody who's watching to understand. We have choices.
Yes.
Every day. I mean, my life is, I have to be intentional to make the choices that are going to please God. And so there's temptations all the time.
Yes.
You know, and this has been a crazy, crazy day for me. It didn't go the way I thought, and it got crazier. But the point is, I understand that there's something in all that craziness that he wanted me to pay attention to. If nothing else, then making sure I came here tonight, regardless of how crazy the day was. We have to be intentional. We have to be flexible. You know,
Yeah.
we have to be able to move in different places instead of saying, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this,
rigidity.
no matter what.
Yeah, the rigidity.
Yeah.
Rigidity sets in.
Exactly.
And I think the flexibility plays a role in everything because when I get into being here, it's about my control issues. It's about control and trying to make it happen.
Right.
You know?
Exactly. And that's when we mess up.
Yes.
When we mess up, instead of going with the flow, just go with the flow.
Yeah.
But pay attention in the morning and just ask God to guide you. And your gut will say, don't go down that street.
Yes, it will.
Or your gut will say, don't eat that donut. I mean, your gut, that's, you know what you should do.
And the body language with our feminine energy and intuition, when I listen to that, and I know a lot of people have heard me talk about this, because there was one point in time, and I know many people are listening, that I wasn't here, but it took the journaling and
I know.
and the praying,
Right.
contemplative prayer,
Exactly.
and being in prayer and meditation,
Yeah.
and walks. Walking, okay? Walking.
So let me tell you. So I sent a blog out about 3 weeks ago that said, I'm retiring, ... Read the blog to see the rest of it. And what I meant was I was retiring my running shoes because I've run for the last 12, 13 years, and now I'm walking. But people didn't read the blog and sent me congratulatory notes about retiring.
Oh my
Isn't that
goodness.
something?
That's the
So I'm
mindset.
like,
Yes,
exactly.
yes.
And so I've got to write one tonight saying, no, you didn't read the blog. But I walked this morning for 55 minutes.
Yes.
I was gonna
this is
stop.
wonderful.
I
This
was
is
gonna
wonderful.
stop, and I didn't.
But yeah,
and I just kept going, and it was just I had gospel music, and I love Richard Smallwood.
Yeah,
and I
Richard Smallwood, yes.
And I just listened, and it just made my day, which is interesting because the day got jacked up, but I started out right.
Yes.
So I'm good.
Yeah, and you do your homework.
Yeah.
You do
and
your homework.
I love walking.
So tell us, who is it that you look up to? Who inspires you?
My pastor.
Your pastor. Who's
Pastor Lance Watson.
Oh,
from Creighton
yes,
Court.
yes.
I've been with him. I've been at St. Paul since I joined in '95.
Okay.
So
I know.
he has just made a huge impact, not only on my life but my children and my grandchildren. So my grandchildren have grown up with him, and it just he walks the talk. Or walks the walk,
Yeah.
And I've watched him, and I've learned from him, and I understand he makes things clear. So I have a lot of respect for him.
So if you could have a conversation with someone, living or dead, who would it be?
Wow. At this point, my mom.
Your mom, yeah.
It would
We've
be
seen the
my
mama's
mom.
tears. Yes.
It would be my mom.
Yes.
Because I want to talk to her about being 70.
Okay.
That's what I want to talk to her
Yeah.
about. I remember when she turned 70, but I want to talk to her about where I am.
Okay.
Yeah, at
Wonderful.
70. That's who I would want to talk to.
So if leaving a pearl of wisdom, what are 3 wisdom things that you would leave with our audience that are viewing? What would you like to pass on?
One is that what we do today forms our tomorrow.
Yeah, that's your motto.
Yeah,
yes,
it is.
yes.
What I do today forms my tomorrow. A second one is that I actually have a book that I'm launching at the end of this
okay,
month.
okay.
It's called #Just for Today.
Just for today, okay.
And what it is are 365 actions that you can take, an action a day, that will simply feed your rhythm.
Well, didn't you do that at the beginning of the year? Because I followed you.
I've done Just
Yeah.
for the Day since 2012,
Yeah,
but I finally combined them.
Yeah, okay, I listened
so
to
it's
it.
going to be an ebook.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
So you're doing great things, and you are being an example of love, light, and positivity. I have a lot of
Absolutely.
respect for what you do.
I so appreciate you.
And I just admire what you do, and I support you in continuing
Thank
your
you.
journey from inside out.
That's right.
To be
That's
on
right.
purpose.
That's right.
To be of service and
Yes.
guided by spirit.
Yes.
And we want to thank you for joining
May I
us.
just mention my website,
Yeah, sure.
which is www.speaktoyourspirit.com.
Okay, speaktoyourspirit.com.
That's
Go
right.
and you can get in touch with this wonderful person here. Thank you
It was
so
delightful
much.
being
all
with you.
right?
Thank you.
Yes, I look forward to seeing you and doing things with you.
Absolutely.
So we're going to take a break. And look, this is Chit Chat 1. Come back with part 2 of talking to someone else who's doing and bringing love, light, and positivity to the community. We'll be right back after this short break. My name is Imaja Jubilee, and I'm your host for Love, Light, and Positivity, premiering Tuesday, June 27th on Comcast Channel 95 and Verizon Channel 36 from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. And on our show this year, we've developed a new segment. We're going to chat with various visionaries from across the RVA area about how they live their life. And what we've come up with is a game called The Dash. And today we are proud to have Jolinda with us. So she's going to play this game with me. And she teaches dance and does a lot of other things. Please tell us several things that you do.
Well, in addition to teaching the move technique, which was designed for seasoned movers, I also write about dance and theater, and I teach dance history classes at the university, and I travel around the world training dance ministries.
Wonderful. Now, we're going to play the dash.
Okay.
All right, so these are rapid fire questions. Say the first thing that comes to your head. So if you could sit around a table with someone like we're doing today, who would it be?
Does it have to be someone who's still alive?
Nope, it does not.
I would go with Mr. Alvin Ailey, the choreographer.
Wonderful. So what's one of your pet peeves?
Oh, one of my pet peeves is people who do not pay attention to grammar and spelling.
Oh, well, you get me on that one then. So, also, too, where do you see yourself within the next year?
Well, the next year, I would like to see myself pulling suitcases on and off airplanes as I travel around the world, teaching and learning more about dance and ministry and culture.
Well, having all that said, you'd be a tired sister, so how do you relax?
I relax by walking,
Okay.
maybe a 2 or 3 mile walk, and during that time, that's my devotional time and my relaxing time.
So that is a sample of the game that we'll play on The Dash. So again, I invite you to join us, and as we do Love, Light, and Positivity on Tuesday, June 27th from 7:30 to 8:30 on Comcast Channel 95 and Verizon Channel 36. Welcome back to Love, Light, and Positivity. Now, we had an exciting first half for you in Chit Chat Part 1, and we're going to continue our journey tonight. As I said at the top of the show and the top of my first show, we promise you different people from across the RVA area who are visionaries and luminaries, all right? And my second guest, I've admired her work for many, many years, and I've admired the way she evokes the feminine energy, the way she teaches people. She has a website, Revolutionary Heart, which she started. And I want to welcome to my show, Joni Advent Meyer. Have I pronounced the last name? Maher, yes. To my show. And I know that I was reading about these V's, about a woman owning a voice. Would you tell us what those V's are about?
Right. So my work is a lot about helping women open their voices, get comfortable with visibility,
Visibility,
create their vision,
create division.
and there's one more.
Okay. So
Value. One of them. Value.
yes. And
Stand in our value. Recognize our value.
you're
Own our
recognizing the
value.
value. So I wanted to ask you about the visibility because is that because we tend to shy away from who we are as women? Well, why is that a part of it?
Well, visibility is a part of it because so many of us have learned to hide our light,
Hide our light, okay.
to stand in the background, to not take up space,
Okay.
to not take up our full space.
Okay.
So visibility is about being willing to be seen. It's about being willing to take a stand for what we believe in and who we are, and to really put it out in the
So
world.
we're there for us, and it's not for someone else. We're standing in who we are, owning our voice, owning our own interpersonal power. And that makes, because I find that when I own my voice, when I don't own my voice, I have something inside that says, you didn't tell the truth then, or you should have spoken up then, or you have an opinion about that. Why did you not say it? See, is that what you're referring to, right?
I'm referring to that. I'm also referring to asking or asserting what it is that we want, what we prefer, what we need. If we don't speak up about what's true for us, then the people around us are left either to guess or to assert what they believe we want or what they believe we need. And so if we're feeling dissatisfied or victimized or just like we're not getting what we want or need in life, it's important that we speak up.
So how did you get into this line of work? I want to hear. I want to hear how you got into this. I want our audience. I kind of know, but I want the audience to know.
Well, how did I get into this line of work? We of course teach always what it is that we need to learn.
Okay.
So I can give you the really long version or the
Short version.
the shorter version. I'll just suffice it to say that actually for many years I did work with addiction in the family.
Okay.
As a psychotherapist, and so I know a lot about relationships and interpersonal relationships, and for so many women, and certainly part of my own story was that being in the background, being invisible, having a lot of opinions and thoughts, but not necessarily feeling free to share them. Or one of the things I heard quite a bit when I was a child was the "don't make waves."
Oh, yes.
Don't make waves.
Yes, don't make waves.
Right. So I had a daughter about almost 13 years ago, and that was a real turning point for me, particularly in terms of my work with women, because I knew the messages I received as a girl and as a female about what my place was.
What you play, and we hear that constant. See, going back to piggybacking off what we talked about in the first segment, we hear constantly how we need to be in the world. We are programmed from the time that we come out of the womb as to being male, female, how you're supposed to act, and you're supposed to. And I know I was programmed that I need to be married and have 2.5 kids. I always say, but you know, but that's what the programming was, and you are to step behind your husband. You never are to have a voice. You never are to say what's going on. You just pull back, and it's like a tortoise you're pulling his head into a shell, you know, when that happens. And there was a lot of addiction also in my family, and I know you had that background. But one of the things that I wanted to ask you about the feminine energy, do men and women both have feminine energy as well?
Absolutely.
So how does that manifest in a gender called a male? How does that manifest?
Well, I think I'll speak generally,
Okay.
and then I can speak to that question in particular. So we all have masculine and feminine energy, and you might think of it in different ways. You might think about like head and heart. Our intellect, our reasoning capacity is an aspect of our masculine. We all have that.
Okay.
Our rational, our reasoning, our left brain, and then we all have the emotional, the intuitive, the body, which is our feminine nature.
Okay.
And so men and women both have that, and it's our composition or our chemistry, our makeup varies. So there can be men who have quite a lot of feminine energy.
And they hide it. A lot of times they hide it.
Sometimes they,
Yes.
sometimes they do, because it's not in terms of them being in their place.
Yes, and not accepted.
Right, exactly.
And so it works. It kind of works for them that way, and it works for women this
Both
kind of
ways.
both ways.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly.
And that's sad, Joni. That is so sad.
It is sad, and one of my goals and one of my missions is to really elevate the feminine, because I do think that both men and women have learned to devalue it and to see it as less than, to see our emotional nature, to see our intuitive nature, to see our body and our embodied nature as less valuable in our culture. I mean, I'm talking about
Oh, yeah, I
in
understand.
terms of the big culture.
Yes.
Not as valuable as science, not as valuable as reason, not as valuable as achievement. And so for me, it is one of my missions in life to
Your purpose.
my purpose.
Yeah, your own
Thank
purpose.
you.
Yes, purpose. Yes, we talked about purpose. And so now you're being of service.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Because I know you have women's circles. And tell us about the circles that you have.
Yes. Well, I am part of a program called Women Speak.
Okay.
And it is a public speaking program for women.
Yes,
Specifically. So I have that. In conjunction with, it's actually an international program, so there are women all over the world that are learning this method of having their voice, having their visibility.
I saw an advertisement for that at Good Food Grocery on the board.
Yes,
I saw that.
exactly.
Yes, I saw that.
Exactly.
Yes, yes.
And then I also have something called Wise Women Success Circles, which are for women of a certain age, because I have found that women of my generation and a little bit older oftentimes don't feel as free and comfortable putting themselves out in the world.
Yes.
Unlike you, you
Yes.
are a fabulous role model. And they sit back where I see younger women, like their daughters
Okay.
or granddaughters, women in their 30s, women in their early to mid 40s are much more comfortable, whether it's with business or speaking out. It seems to be generationally they're more free. So the Wise Women Success Circles are really for women who know they have wisdom. They would love to share it more freely in the world, but they don't know how to do it, or they're feeling inhibited around visibility.
Yes, and I think that that's wonderful. I commend you for doing it, because I know the work that you're doing, you know, and I know we don't get a chance to talk that much about it, but I am aware of what you do. That's why I wanted you to be on
Thank
the
you.
show. Now tell people how they can get in touch and learn more about, if they wanted to join a circle, or
Yes.
you give them your website, or...
Yes, so my website actually is like this close to being updated.
Okay.
So they can go to the website, which is revolutionaryheart.com.
Yes, I've been there.
They also could contact me personally through my email, which is my name, Joni, Joni, Advent, just like the season,
Advent, yes.
Maher, Maher, at Gmail.
So tell me, who inspires you? Who do you look up to? Who has been most influential in your life to allow you to become the woman that you now are?
Well, I will say that my grandmother
Okay.
is one of the women who inspires me and who I feel like is still championing my work in the world. And my work is in part an honoring of her and all that she
Yes.
lived
Yes.
in her life.
Isn't it wonderful when you can look back at the women in your life, especially if it's a relative in the family? Like my mother was about love. She was all about love. And so I have that
Yes.
innately taught to
Yes.
me by her.
Yes.
So what pearls of wisdom, same question, that you would like to leave with our viewing audience?
Well, I do think the best thing I can say to you is just that reminder, and this show is such a reminder of that you know, that your true nature is a reflection of the divine.
Yes,
And-
and that is because we forget the moment that we come into the world, we're programmed and covered by layers and layers and layers and layers. And that's where my journey has been taking me, is to go deep, dive deeper into what is beneath all of this.
Yes.
You're more than a body, you're more than your mind. There's something that's there deeper, and it's spirit, and whatever, whether you be male or female, young or old, it's in everybody.
Right, and that is your foundation. So it's my pearl is to honor and to value yourself.
Yes.
You know, and the story your mind may tell you, or the story that other people may tell you about who you are,
It's just a story. You're
It's
not
ju-
your story.
Right, it's just a story.
Brian Katie does a lot of work around telling you're not your
Yes,
story.
yes,
And I've been in workshops
exactly.
with her at the Omega Institute, I think
Uh-huh.
it was, yes. So yeah, we're not our story. So when we remember that we are more than just these bodies, when we remember that we are not the stories, and like the earlier guest talked about being in the theater and everything where we are, when we remember that, and who we bring into our lives. Like I like having, I go by your energy. You know, I get vibes, whatever you want to call it. And I've always gotten good vibrations from you. Those are the kind of people that I want to have in my life. And those are the kind of people that we bring to our show. And we want to thank you for being here. And
pleasure.
I really support you in what you do in a continuation of your journey on your earthly adventure, because it is an earthly adventure, okay? So keep doing what you're doing, and we will see, at a later date what we're doing, what we can do together. Now,
Fabulous.
we want to thank her. This is the end of Chit Chat 2, and we're going to take a brief break, and I have a surprise for you that I promised at the beginning of the season. We'll be right back. Hi, my name is Imaja Jubilee, and I'm your host for Love, Light, and Positivity, premiering Tuesday, June 27th on Comcast Channel 95 and Verizon Channel 36 from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. And on our show this year, we've developed a new segment. We're going to chat with various visionaries from across the RVA area about how they live their life. And what we've come up with is a game called The Dash. And today we are proud to have Jolinda with us. So she's going to play this game with me. And she teaches dance and does a lot of other things. Please tell us several things that you do.
Well, in addition to teaching the Move technique, which was designed for seasoned movers, I also write about dance and theater, and I teach dance history classes at the university, and I travel around the world training dance ministry.
Wonderful. Now we're going to play The Dash.
Okay.
All right, so these are rapid fire questions. So the first thing that comes to your head. So if you could sit around a table with someone like we're doing today, who would it be?
Does it have to be someone who's still alive?
Nope, it does not.
I would go with Mr. Alvin Ailey, the choreographer.
Wonderful. So what's one of your pet peeves?
Oh, one of my pet peeves is people who do not pay attention to grammar and spelling.
Oh, well, you get me on that one then. So, also, where do you see yourself within the next year?
Well, the next year, I would like to see myself pulling suitcases on and off airplanes as I travel around the world, teaching and learning more about dance and ministry and culture.
Well, having all that said, you'd be a tired sister, so how do you relax?
I relax by walking,
Okay.
maybe a 2 or 3 mile walk, and during that time, that's my devotional time and my relaxing time.
So that is a sample of the game that we'll play on The Dash. So again, I invite you to join us, and as we do Love, Light, and Positivity on Tuesday, June 27th from 7:30 to 8:30 on Comcast Channel 95 and Verizon Channel 36. Welcome back to Vibing. This section of our show, I promised you all at the first show that I was going to have something extra special. I've always loved the music of the harp, and our next guest is Denise. And Denise plays the harp, and not only does she play the harp, she plays it with heart. She plays it with heart, and she's a storyteller as well. So when I asked her to be on the show, I asked her to just kind of bring what she brings from her heart and just do it and tell you all a story. I'm extra excited about this. So we're going to allow her to come. She's a master storyteller. She also teaches storytelling using this music, and she plays What's the other instrument did you play?
No, I play the harp.
Harp, okay, all right. But anyway, I'm going to stop talking now, and I'm going to let her bless you with her story and her music from the heart. Denise.
Thank you. Thank you, Yamaja. So, in 1979, my guitar was stolen from the roach-infested basement of the house that I shared with 5 other college theater majors. And I was sad because I'd gotten the guitar when I was 13, and I taught myself how to play it. I wrote songs that I played badly all through high school, but I played well enough to accompany myself in church coffee house basements and choir concerts at school. But when I'd gotten to college, when I became a theater major, I wanted to be one of the cool kids. And then I fell in love with a guy who was really hip, and he only liked punk music and new wave music, and the music that I played, the songs that I wrote just seemed so old-fashioned and earnest. And I didn't want to be earnest and good anymore. I wanted to be hip and cool and ironic. So I stopped playing the guitar. I stopped singing. And when my guitar was stolen, it was kind of like reality was doing what I'd already done to myself. When I finished college, I went to graduate school, and as luck would have it, I was cast in a show called Spoon River Anthology. And ironically, I was cast as the folk singer. And playing with me as I sang these folk songs was a tall, dark, and handsome guitarist. My car broke down in the Binghamton, New York winters, and he started giving me rides back and forth. And one night in front of my house, he leaned over and kissed me, and well, the rest was history. 36 years later, we're still making beautiful music together. Well, Jim, my husband, is not primarily a guitarist, he's a pianist, and I still remember the first time I heard him play. I practically swooned. I still swoon when I hear him play. Not only was Jim an incredible musician, but his brother is a world-class guitarist. And so here I was in this family with these great musicians, and I didn't feel like I dare touch a piano, even though I took lessons for 6 years. I wouldn't pick up a guitar except to play once in a while for my kids in their preschool class. Preschoolers aren't a real tough audience. So I didn't play. I didn't let myself play. Well, years later, I got a call to seminary, and when I'd finished seminary, during that time, I discovered storytelling. And I'd started out just telling stories to my kids, and then I realized that storytelling was a powerful tool for preaching and teaching. And so I began to go to whatever kinds of storytelling events I could. And there was one being offered in Dogwood Dell. It was a blistering hot August day, and my kids and I were the only people there. But the storyteller, she was great. And not only was she a storyteller, she was a harpist. When I went up after her concert, before I even said a word to her, she said, "You are a storyteller." I said, "Well, I'd like to be. How did you know? She said, because only a storyteller would sit out here in 100-degree heat to listen to stories. Well, the next day I had an errand to run out to Southern Music. It used to be out there on Midlothian Turnpike. And little did I know that right next to Southern Music was the Virginia Harp Center. Who knew that Richmond had a harp store? I walked in, it was like heaven. And there, coming out of the back, was the storyteller that I'd seen the day before. I said, what a coincidence. And she said, there are no coincidences. And then she sat down and played Greensleeves, and I sang it. And a month later, I got a call for my very first storytelling gig. She had recommended me.
Wow.
Well, I fell in love with the harp after that. I got harp CDs, I went to concerts, I even started writing this long story about a traveling harper back in the Middle Ages. And I loved the harp, but I never thought that I'd actually have one. They were expensive, and besides, I was in my 40s. I was going to learn to play a brand new instrument in my 40s. So I just pined. On my 45th birthday, I came home after I'd been chaperoning an art trip all day long in DC, and I knew my husband, Jim, wouldn't be there. My birthday is in December, and pianists play Christmas parties in December. It's just what they do. And so my boys were with me, and there was a little box sitting on the buffet, my birthday present, and I unwrapped it, and it was a dustbuster.
Oh,
I opened the card, and my husband had written, "Don't say this present sucks. I love you." Meanwhile, my boys, my older son was not even dating yet, but he knew that giving the love of your life a dustbuster, even if she'd asked for one, was pretty lame. And my younger son was kind of patting me on the arm, and he said, "It's okay, Mom, it's okay. We'll get the present for you." And so they ran up the stairs, but then they came right back down. They said, Mom, you have to go upstairs. You have to go upstairs now." And so I went upstairs, and there it was.
Okay.
Magic.
music. It is so heavenly. I'm sitting here and I'm getting my own private serenade, and I feel a sense of peace and calm and serenity. This season we have gone the gambit. We started with spoken word. We've had lots of music and everything on. And we want to thank Denise for coming and sharing this beautiful music. It's such a nice, soft ending to our season. We invite you to just take in all that we have given you this show and all the other shows. And watch for us next season, when we will also take you on this journey, giving you tools, taking you to another level of being your authentic self, using new things, getting rid of old things, and having an inner transformation, learning to live life from inside out. We love you, we bless you, and we applaud you for being the beautiful spiritual beings that you are. And as always, remember that you were made in love, by love, for love. Seek love's guidance from within and follow your purpose, be of service, and be a light in the world. We thank you and have a good evening.
No more of opinions of family, friends, and relations. Drink no more of a status and material aspirations. Come take a drink of a cultural libation. Come take a drink of a cultural libation. No more of a well that runs dry. Expand your worldview and have a cultural libation. No more of the river that's flow dry. Expand your worldview, have a cultural libation. Drink that's inherent in our soul. Drink surpasses all understanding. Drink and never loses power. Take a drink of cultural libation. Drink that's inherent in our soul. Drink surpasses all understanding. Drink and never loses power. Take a drink of cultural libations. Drink cultural libations. Drink cultural libations. That's inherent in our soul. Surpasses all understanding. And never loses power. That's inherent in our soul. Surpasses all understanding. And never loses power. Take a drink of cultural libations. Drink the joy. Drink the peace. Drink the love. Come take a drink of cultural libations. Drink the joy. Drink